Well, it started with a phone call. I was headed up to Wyoming fishing with a friend of mine, and he said, I got this buddy who has brain cancer who has this crazy notion.
A friend of mine, Stuart Brown, got cancer in 2001. It was a brain cancer. And we spent a lot of time together during the process of his treatment, and we found ourselves being very frustrated about the fact that men had very few outlets physically and emotionally for making it through the cancer process.
And he said, my buddy fly fishes just like we do, and he really thinks there ought to be something for guys. I said, that's a great idea. I said, there's got to be organizations all over the country doing stuff for guys with cancer. And Jim said, well, now I'm not sure about that.
It came out of 3 or 4 of us fly fishers, one who had brain cancer, and the realization that fly fishing was an incredibly healing experience for him while he went through his cancer treatment. When he was on the water, he never felt like he had cancer. He never thought about his cancer. And so we thought that we wanted to provide that same experience for other men.
So the 3 of us sort of formed this band of brothers. And we had a couple of other guys join us in the next few months. One day we were meeting and I said, guys, we got to put a stake in the sand if we're going to do this. We got to quit talking about it. If we're going to make it happen, we got to set a date, find a place, and do a retreat. And they went, well, okay, how are we going to fund it? I said, I don't know, we'll figure it out. So we picked a date, June 3rd, 2003. And then I started calling friends of mine and saying, where would you take a bunch of guys with cancer fly fishing? Where's a nice place that we might be able to afford? And we came up with a place. It was perfect for us. Stuart Brown, our founding father, who had come to the retreat with his son, had to leave a little early because he had a doctor's appointment, because he actually knew he had another brain tumor. And so as he was leaving the retreat that afternoon, he left a message on the back of my truck, in the dust on the back window of my truck. And it said, be well, fish on. And when I saw that, and I called the other guys over, and we all just stood and stared at the back window of my truck. And then we went and sat down at a picnic table, and we looked at each other, and we said, we're on to something.
And grab her on.
Thank you.
Yep.
Real Recovery is a national nonprofit organization that provides free fly fishing retreats for men with cancer.
What we're going to do is we're going to talk about the mechanics of casting the roll cast. And you're going to find that you're going to use this roll cast a lot. What are you going to do then? That's what I'm talking about. Okay?
Well, the primary beneficiaries of the retreat are the men themselves, the participants who come, but it spreads so far beyond that. The volunteers who come, the fishing buddies.
Yep, I'm gonna put a little trailer on here. Then we got
2 things that I'm passionate about, both fishing and cancer. And I thought it sounded like a really neat organization. So I contacted them and asked them if there was any way that I could help them out, if I could volunteer as a buddy, if I could do anything for them. And they were kind enough to allow me to be a buddy, which I've now done 6 or 7 times.
A couple years ago when my dad had cancer, and he was invited to this retreat and he took part in it, and I saw his spirits definitely come up afterwards, so it definitely is why I'm here today, is to kind of give back, take part in that.
Here we go! 1, 2, 3!
Fish on.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful.
We supply a vest, fishing vest, for each man to wear. They sign their name to the vest and whatever they want to say on it. And then they wear that throughout their retreat. And that's their vest. Our first set of vests have so many signatures on them, we're going to have to retire them.
And son is youngest, and probably.
We provide the structure for what we call courageous conversations.
When I came home from the military and I was 30 years old and I was diagnosed with stage 3 brain cancer.
We're trying to just give them a break, a respite from their experiences, whether they're done with their cancer treatment, whether they're just starting their cancer treatment. We're just trying to give them a whole different experience where they feel comfortable, can share their stories with other men.
It brings men together and then gives them the opportunity to talk to people that are walking in the shoes that they're walking in right now.
But what you'll find outside of that is the men getting together one-on-one or just in small groups to talk about a variety of different aspects of their experiences with cancer.
I think for some of these men, just being able to have conversations that are very real and very vulnerable is healing for them. Let them say it, you know? They're feeling it, they're experiencing it. They may not know exactly what it is, but just to have that conversation. And it's one, once they kind of put it out there, it's one less thing they have to carry with them.
Real recovery takes a group of strangers, puts them in an environment where you're fishing, you're outside, you're enjoying that time, but that's only a small part of it actually. The fishing is a piece of the puzzle.
I think a lot of guys, they come to these retreats and really don't know, you know, what it's about or what's going to happen, and when they leave, it's, you know, it's incredible. Nice fish.
We receive letters all the time from the caregivers, wives, parents, kids, who say their father, husband, dad, son was transformed by the experience of being at Real Recovery.
Tom was a man that struggled with having joy in his life, and that Real Recovery was something that opened the door to him finding joy.
Comments at the retreat are very strong and very powerful, but after the retreat's over, we hear from them, the participants, and we hear from their families. And we hear about the differences made in their life and how they've become more at peace, how they've become better able to deal with the treatment itself, deal with cancer, looking toward the future, and how it's made a difference in their families' lives.
His oncologist recommended that he go, and I'll never forget, he came home and said, "My doctor said I really should go." And he said, "But I don't want to go." And I said, "Oh, yes, you are going." And he didn't want to go. He said, "I don't want to go talk about my problems with a bunch of men." And I said, "Well, you're going." And he went, kicking and screaming, but he did go. And he came home a changed man. He came home a softer man, and a man who touched something deep inside of himself that would never have happened if it wasn't for Real Recovery.
I think when you have cancer, you realize what's important in life. When you're the wife of a person with cancer, you really get down to what's important in life, and you learn to enjoy it, and you learn to cherish it.
One of the things we do is we just we just demystify cancer. That's what Real Recovery really does, is it takes it out from behind the back door and the closed door and out in the black closet. And we bring it right out in the front of the room and sit it down and say, yeah, it's cancer. So you want to go fishing? After men leave a Real Recovery retreat, their lives are not the same. Something's different, something changed.
See so many big smiles on everybody's faces, and you know, things that they couldn't even think about laughing about. You know, they're just enjoying life again.
They get to come to a place, they get to meet guys who are very open, honest, living their lives to the fullest, even though they have cancer. I mean, they're more alive than most men that I see in the world. And that's contagious.
Well, if you support Real Recovery, you're tapping into the heart of a man in an environment where he can get to the core of who he is and communing with men, a brotherhood.
Guys with cancer have such a better appreciation for life and death because they have cancer. I think one of the things that Real Recovery does is it gives a man a chance to live every day with dignity and courage. What else is there?